And welcome out, Halftime Crew. It is July 11th, 2019. And, I really do love that score of that soundtrack that we have opening every single day. It just like pumps you up, gets the blood flowing. Well, we got myself here. We got Coach Noah. We got Coach Mark. We have Coach Gino joining us later on. Noah, how are you doing today?
I am fantastic. Absolutely thrilled to be here. How about yourself?
I'm doing quite well. Woke up, watched Pal give the exact same speech he gave yesterday to the House committee. Now he's giving it to the Senate, and it
Totally
was
nailed it the second time, right?
yeah. Oh, he perfectly nailed it the second time. He should have rehearsed it a little bit, maybe on Tuesday and then went to Wednesday. No, but yeah, he basically gave the exact same speech this time in front of the Senate, and then the Senate uh, Banking Committee asked him various questions. Nothing really surprised me. All the headlines are saying market up based on Fed rate cuts, but how much are we up right now?
Well, yeah. After watching the market respond to it, my thoughts are everything they anticipated was already priced in.
I agree with that.
So Fed cuts were already priced in, and it poked up to a new high. I was a little bit excited to see it moving up overnight. I saw it up at 305 near the high, not too far off of that 307 high. And, I was like, okay, maybe it'll run tomorrow. And then it did not run. It's kind of quiet this morning. So
Mark, how are you? What were your thoughts when you saw the market move or not move, lack thereof?
Listen, there is nothing wrong with a slow meandering trend. It makes your decisions a lot easier sometimes. We're so used to the crazy volatility and upswings from the last 8 months. Go look at the summer of 2017. That was a nice, slow, easy trend, waiting for a catalyst to emerge. It's boring, but, cash flow opportunities, some breakouts will occur. I like markets like this.
Well, it's not hard trading. It's not scary volatility trading. It takes patience, though.
Oh, without a doubt.
It's definitely the word. And Mark, the way you even explain the market, your voice was very calm. This market's moving very slowly today.
I think we need more caffeine in here quickly.
that was I think that was the calmest I've ever heard Mark speak. He was just the market's moving slowly.
Well, I'm trying to trade and follow Jerome Powell's bullshit notes, and like Jerome Powell, like seriously, like, oh, what a cowardly lion that gentleman has become. I want to see him justify how the heck you make rate cuts with inflation spiking, economic indicators relatively decent, markets at all-time highs, and him up there on the hill making a case why we need to make rate cuts. It's just he is doing his best job. It is all political capitulation. But it's what it is. Trade the trend. Don't fight the Fed.
Don't fight the Fed. That's that. Those are
words. Don't fight. Yeah. And as much as I don't like it, I'm not going to fight the Fed. I'm not going to stand in front of it. I'll make my trades and keep going.
I'll tell you what. The NASDAQ looks like it's got a bit more energy than the S&P. A little bit more energy in tech. Dow hasn't. It's just poking its head up to a new high as we speak. So that is interesting right there. Just poking its head up above that.
Bring it down to an intraday. Where's most of the movement on that?
Now, let's see. Let's take a look on that. Right there at the open. So boom.
It didn't quite come back down like some of the others did. It's holding up. It's holding strong.
Yeah.
Markets really are boring today. There's not much going on. I mean, we had what's that?
I said, well, just because the markets are boring doesn't mean we have to be. So let's take a look there. We got the Dow, the NASDAQ. Let's take a look at the RUT real quick.
Oh, the RUT's completely boring. I threw another condor on this morning. I was like, man, this thing doesn't want to move even off of Fed testimony. It's like,
well, that's exciting though. The RUT being boring is exciting for me because
because you can get those condors on. Yes. It's like, oh, I'll take another 8%. I'm happy with that. I'm not going to complain.
That's the thing. When you are bored, sell a put, sell a naked call, do a condor, at least get paid for your boredom. That is my philosophy.
Getting paid for your boredom. I like that. I like that.
If you listen, I mean, I'm sure you guys have listened to the interview Matt did with Mr. Swagger, and that was just awesome. But they both kind of, you know, he just reinforced that concept that your trading should actually be kind of boring. If you're living on the edge of your seat as a trader, that means you're probably over position sizing. If you're feeling like you just have to stay right on top of it all the time.
Yeah, go big or go home is not a phrase you want to use in the market.
Well, no, it's go big and go home. That's what happens when you
go home.
Go big and go home.
That's how you blow up your account right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I've taken that train to nowhere. So
all right, well, let's keep on moving down. Let's go on to oil. So oil, we had some news of Iran trying to seize a British ship. I was reading something about that this morning, and of course, you know, they're denying from one side, reports from the other side saying, you know, it happened. But oil's up. Are you calling this a breakout?
Well, let's take a look here. It is. I think we do have a breakout here. It's yesterday's candlestick was pretty solid. Little uptick in volume. It was typical volume. You know, you have the average bolster a little bit from the sell-off, so it's typical volume. And then today's volume and breakout, it's in that zone. And when I get that, you know, yesterday's candlestick, I was pretty excited for the energy the breakout might bring. Today's candlestick, again, like Mark said, nothing wrong with slow and steady, but it gives me a little pause simply because of what it's trading into back here. And this is one of those where maybe the trend's not going to make you money if you catch them, and you can if you catch the breakout. But I'll tell you what, you know, if you wanted to sell the out of the money options way down below support, then you could probably make yourself a little bit of money there. But I do definitely see a reversal pattern there. This is a higher low. We have violated that little downward trend channel. And so that is a breakout by all measures. You know, my only concern is that old resistance is in the way.
Mark, what are your thoughts? You are the commodities expert. Does it go on a report
I want apologies from everyone calling me an idiot for buying oil 3 and 4 weeks ago. That's what my thoughts are.
Never called you.
No, nobody would have called. No, not even possible. No, absolutely not. So yeah, no, that's been a good run. And again, nice little pullback. That would have been awesome had you caught that, and Mark apparently did. Anytime it gets back up above all those moving averages, you got to pay some respect to the bulls. I mean, it's back up above the 20, the 50, you know, the 9, and you're actually getting some separation in movement from the shorter term moving averages, some separation in angle where you get that divergence caused by momentum, where they start to spread apart again between the two moving averages, which is kind of it is a good sign of momentum. So I'm pretty excited about crude light there. Have you guys taken a look at the dollar this morning?
I have not taken a look at the dollar yet.
All right.
Go on.
So DXY, I was thinking a little bit more bearishly yesterday after that big engulfing, and today's little hammer candle on the moving averages. There's a good example of, you can, you know, pull back into a support zone, hammer type candle. That puts me a little bit more neutral in my analysis on this right now. Kind of seeing.
I'm completely neutral on it. It actually, in the intraday, it did move down quite a bit, but then with the open, it sold or reverse, excuse me. So we didn't quite get the downward movement we thought. So if you were in a 24-hour count where you're looking at this, it was a pretty jagged. Oh, you can open it.
Yeah, I'm on. Let's go with indexes here. Let's see here. Show subgraph, show extended hours trading. That should probably do the trick. There we go. Sweet. Yeah, there you see your overnight drift down. And then
it just popped right back up. It was like, nope, we're done. This bearishness is over. Not today. So
good double bottom,
right at the 50.
Good reversal pattern there intraday. Another higher low. You know, that's a little intraday reversal right there. So putting that back into the context, you know, of the daily chart, you know, I think that resistance is now more of a double top. And in here with the rising 200 period moving average and the falling 50 period moving average and that little small body candle, this is one of those where I'll be like, yeah, I'll get back to you. The monetary policy makes me think it's going to head south. You know, when they're talking about rate cuts, that doesn't strengthen the dollar. But then you put it into perspective with the other currencies out there. And I still think the dollar is the strongest of the bunch. So I would not be surprised to see this form an inverted head and shoulders and break out up there. But I'm going to need to see that confirmation on that.
And see that reversal that we had might be due to the CPI data we had come out. The CPI data came out, it actually beat expectations both on the core and the overall CPI. So that's actually showing strength. And it goes back to, why does Powell feel the need to cut rates? Is there really a reason we're getting this good economic data consistently coming out? It is capitulation to political bias, and it's a giant tug of war out there. I'm not going to get on a rant because I'm a hawk, and I wish he would stay strong and tell the politicians to go somewhere.
Go somewhere like where? Washington? All right.
Actually, I was with today's technology and the way that we can, like right now, we're different states all over the place having conversation. Why aren't congressmen and women forced to stay in their district more often rather than going to Washington and hiding from their constituents?
Well, yeah, give it time. Give it time. Take a look.
Make them have to stay in their district. Make them have to talk to the people.
There you go. Check out the chart of gold. I'm calling this a bull flag up here, and I'm watching this to see if we can start to see a breakout. Back up yesterday, retesting some of these previous highs. Nice kind of bull flag, just upside consolidation. Anytime I see the stock start to chop sideways, particularly after a strong run, that creates that flag type pattern. But I refer to it as stock in a box. So anytime you get range bound, like where it tests highs and tests lows, this sets you up for a trade either way. It's just a question of which way. And I think with the monetary policy, we've seen the recent flight to safety in gold. I will not be surprised to see that breakout. 1440 is a big number. We back that out to the weekly chart. And if it can run, I think it's got quite a bit of clear air up to about 1500, 1520. So a little bit of room there on the gold market. And it looks pretty good from that, from a breakout perspective here on the weekly chart, where you see it clearing those old highs. And again, showing some signs of strength there.
You don't think it's going to fade back down a little bit more before it breaks to the upside?
Well, the gold bug in me wishes it would, just so you can buy more on the cheap. But, I already own some, so I'm never going to feel bad if it runs up. And, the paper asset itself looks pretty good. So I think it could fade a little deeper, but it's right there. So I don't have to predict. I just have to react. See, I've got two lines in the sand. See, this is where I think a lot of new technicians sometimes, I know I did this, and you'll have to tell me about your experience with this, guys. When I first started getting into technical analysis and I started to understand just the value of it and how it worked, I started to believe I could predict the future. I started to believe like, oh, that pattern's got to pan out. Or that setup, that wave count, you name it. Like I could predict the future. And sometimes the weird thing was I was right.
I have had that feeling. And that feeling has also hurt me a couple times because I will not wait till the pattern pans out. I'll say, I see that thing. That is the prettiest X pattern I've seen, whatever, just W reversal. It's the prettiest. It's the prettiest bear retracement. It's the prettiest whatever. And I'm like, I got this. And I'll buy or sell early. I'll enter the trade. And the next day it's like, no, we're not even, no, that pattern's over.
Yeah, just kidding. So that's why I say you don't need to be able to predict the future. You just need to be able to spot the pattern, understand the tendency, and then react. It's more about your reaction time than your ability to predict. So, I can see where there's a high base. I've seen this pattern before. Sometimes it fades, sometimes it breaks back down. Other times it ends up heading back up. And it usually does a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 count before it pops. So you might see a fade before it rallies, but I'm not going to place a trade on that until I see a break of resistance or a break of support. So again, technical analysis, I don't think it's forecasting. Prediction's too strong a word. You have forecasts and probabilities, and you have to understand the if then, like if it goes up, this is your potential range. If it goes down, this is your potential range. And, the market's going to obviously make up those decisions in real time. But, the day-to-day, in this case, this one, I've got pretty clear lines in the sand that I can trigger on up or down.
Very nice. Well, after that, I'm sickened to say it, but let's take a look at Bitcoin. The reason I want to take a look is I'm seeing a double top, which makes me happy.
The optimist sees a forming cup and handle. The pessimist sees a double top.
Mark, what do you see?
I'm back on gold, studying where I want to sell more puts.
That works for me.
Listen, if I'm not going to trade something, I'm not going to pay attention to it. You know, you have limited intellectual capacity. You have limited time.
Hey, who you
trade it? We all do. You cannot trade everything. And I don't trade Bitcoin. So when you guys talk Bitcoin, I went back to look at moving average pockets in gold to see where I might find a good opportunity.
Absolutely. You know? Well, I like it. It's a decent setup. I mean, it's certainly something to look at. Bitcoin here kind of reminds me of indecision. It's established a top, it's established a low, and it's right in the middle. So anytime I see myself in that situation there with a trade, I start wondering where it's going. And again, I see your double top there where it becomes an M, but I also see where it becomes a cup and handle and takes off.
When you have a sideways movement period of time, whether it is 3 weeks like Bitcoin here or 3 months, when something is trading, and this is your trading tip of the day, when something's trading right in the middle of that sideways consolidation, it's really tough to predict anything. Yep. It really is, you know.
So that's why I say don't predict, forecast and react. So you forecast both ways. You have to say, well, if it goes up, that's my forecast. If it goes down, that's my forecast.
I mean, it's like the last time Bitcoin did this. I mean, look, in May, you know, it traded sideways for what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, almost a month, the entire month of May, traded sideways. Like Noah said, that's, what was it? Stock in a box. I like that a lot, actually.
Stock in a box.
When
you crank the handle, it'll break out eventually.
When it broke out, then there you get your trading signal. And that was obviously a really good short-term trading signal. One Tim talked about quite often that he actually took advantage of.
Yeah, not too shabby. So, and this is one of those things. I'm a little bit of a Bitcoin skeptic just because I hear people speak in terms that don't make a lot of sense to me. Like it's digital gold. It's as good as gold. No, it's digital. It's a digital value store of sorts, but it's not gold. So, but it's definitely an interesting instrument. And, I am not a Bitcoin trader. I'm like Mark, I have limited bandwidth. And I do think that's another big takeaway here. Specialize and focus on stocks. This is one thing I've come across many, many times over the years. And I personally do better when I trade stuff I know. When I trade strategies, I am focused on, specialized in, and parts of the market that I have experience with. Anytime I try to trade something new that I haven't practiced with, or I haven't really tested my system backwards and forwards, that's where I tend to learn new lessons that cost more money. So I think
seriously, like new traders out there, one of the things that they run into problems with is they think they have to trade everything. Pull up American Express on a weekly chart. Like there are so many successful traders that learn to trade just a handful of stocks. I mean, had you just traded American Express as one of the handful of stocks, you had a clear breakout in April, you wouldn't have missed it. You had a clear breakout in April, profitable situations on pullback when the trade war and such is going on. You had another breakout occur, a few weeks ago. Like, really become a master at a few things and you'll be amazed. You don't miss opportunities when you limit your universe. You catch them, you become aware. It's just, I think it is an underutilized tip as coaches and mentors that we give new traders. Like, focus on a small set of things. Really good at those instead of sporadically trying to do everything at once.
Well,
stocks.
Yeah, and I think that's true for strategies too.
Absolutely.
Especially when you're new to trading and you're trying to learn, because you learn so many cool option strategies. I mean, just out of curiosity, everybody type in their favorite option strategy down in the chat so I can see that. And just give us an idea of what's your favorite strategy? And I've changed over the years. I've gone through periods of I love naked puts. I've gone through periods of loving credit spreads. I've gone through periods of focusing on debit spreads. I've gone through periods of focusing on fancy dynamic hedging and discretionary trading. I mean, I've done a lot. I always do best when I focus on the systems in the simplest forms and automate the trades as much as I can. And again, I can always keep an iron condor running on my portfolio. That's a trade I've mastered. Once you master a trade, I think you can add it to your repertoire and your arsenal. But when you're new, I watch traders just start chasing after, the fancy new bit of knowledge, like that's the holy grail. And that's going to fix all of their trading woes if they can just master, and so you got to learn that. Broken wing butterflies, I love those. Yeah. Don't be a jack of all trades. Yeah. Master of some. Master of none. Master of some. No, you can be a jack of all trades. You just need to be a master of some. You can learn new strategies. Like I have strategies that I do well, but they're not as consistent as like a credit spread. So I always think of it as, it's a kind of game of probability, and I have speculative money and I have core money. So I have core strategies and then I have speculative strategies, and I'll experiment with my speculative strategies after I've tested a system out and I know exactly how to get in, exactly how to get out, exactly what goes bad when what happens when it goes bad, exactly what happens when it goes really, really good, and exactly what happens when it kind of goes meh. And once you figure your way in and out of the strategies and you become competent at them, you can add them to your repertoire. But then again, you want to specialize. So you need to specialize on those core strategies. And that's where I think your cash flow strategies really come in.
So you briefed over it kind of quickly, and you said that when you're testing a strategy to build the system out to actually use it, how long do you typically back test, or would you look into this stuff before you start trying to implement it? Because I know that when I first started, I was learning something and I was like, oh, let me try it. I was learning something, oh, let me try it. And now I'm actually at the point where it's like, okay, I like this new system. Let me see what it does. So I, started back testing, months and months and months. How long do you guys typically back test something or look at data before you say, all right, I'm willing to try this live?
So depending on the complexity of the strategy, I give myself a benchmark where I need to get at least 25 virtual trades on it so I can see the outcome. 25, I experiment on it 25 different times. And that takes time for me to really proof out a new strategy and to practice it. Back testing complex option strategies is a little harder than back testing like cash flow strategies inside of the Thinkorswim platform. But forward testing strategies is just basically kind of taking the scientific method approach to it and figuring out, what works, what you can proof out, what the data supports, formulating your thesis on it. And then, you're testing it and you're trying to prove it out. And once I find some consistency with it, then I will take it live. And there's a lot of strategies out there, and I'm aware of them. Like I watched Gino do a debit condor, for example. Not a complex strategy. It is just simply not a strategy that I have traded a lot. So I am currently in the process of applying and understanding the strengths and the weaknesses of the strategy, because it's not been one that's in my wheelhouse that I've not personally mastered 100% yet. So that's, I'm forward testing it, and I do some live trades with it, and I do a lot of virtual trades with it. And I'm learning some of the weaknesses of the strategy, where if prices aren't moving, your time decay is killing you, the volatility sensitivity. And then once I got a good feel for it, I'll take it live with real money consistently. But until then, I've got to prove it out to myself. I have to prove to myself I can create a consistent return on it.
Mark, what about you? I know that you're a numbers guy, and you look at a lot of stats and things when you're testing a system or building out something. Love your moving averages, those studies that you've done, the probabilities. How long do you test things like that before you move forward or implement something new?
Until I literally can run my mouth with a surety from Almighty that I'm right. Like I put a ton of time into things that I'm going to implement because one, I like it. I'm a research junkie. And so you give me a theory to test and I just enjoy that. But I just want total confidence because I got so many things that I believe in already, buy and get support. Hey, there's a complicated formula right there that, has been tested by millions of traders throughout time. When something comes down to support, it's like a stock I tweeted about this morning. Pull up Wells Fargo on a monthly chart.
What is their symbol again? WFG?
FC. You know, I mean, it's just like I don't have to test.
Like on a monthly.
I don't have to test buying at support any longer. I've done enough studies over the years. The concepts is tried and true. And if you go back a little bit further in time on a monthly chart on Wells Fargo, you'll see a nice, huge, nice, beautiful support level.
No, bring that up on a monthly. You're on a daily right now.
I'm on a daily. You want to see a monthly? Man, I got to change my
there.
chart.
I mean, you can see the support level right there.
Yeah.
On the weekly, that works.
That's a big one.
You know, and so like, I have a nice tested over multiple time period support level. I don't need to go in and back test that. I know that on value companies I'm looking to acquire, I buy them at support. So there's some things that you get to a point in where things become truisms. They become universal truths, at least in your world. And buying at support is one of those that is for me. So new things, which become fewer and fewer as I get older, I'll put a ton of time into, but you have those core principles that you believe in, those core principles that you trade off of. What we were in a coaches meeting, what was it, a few weeks ago, Cody? And I was like, I'm looking to buy some Wells Fargo down here. And you're like, why would you want to buy that crappy company?
Yeah.
Remember that conversation?
I do.
And I'm like, I like acquiring these crappy value, 4% dividend paying, stable, believe in long-term companies when they hit these support levels. So
now when you're looking to buy this right now, we have earnings coming up next week, which actually is
July 16th.
Yep.
Earnings on Wells Fargo.
We're getting right back to that time again, where all earnings is going to just screw with their delta trades. And if you don't know how to trade earnings, now is the time to start testing it and possibly put that tool in your belt, put that in your repertoire. And
Tyler had a great Tackle 25 class last night where he went over collaring earnings on cash flow stocks that you have. So definitely, if you weren't able to attend that and you're interested in how to manage earnings, because it's one of the things where new traders probably make the most catastrophic mistakes are around earnings in their early stages. That's where the big losses can occur that knock them out of the game. Something you definitely need to get under your belt really, really soon if you're going to trade earnings.
So how are you approaching Wells Fargo right now with earnings coming up? Are you already in it, or are you looking to collar it, or are you looking to acquire it?
Well, we all have our individual rules. There are certain companies I don't collar, and there are certain companies I do. All blue chip stocks that are beat up, I do not collar. Anything that has any level of volatility that's reasonable, I do. I mean, so like there's certain companies, like I'll never collar ExxonMobil. Like, I'll never.
You don't need to color Exxon.
I'll never collar AT&T. So there's certain companies that I won't collar, but those are the very, very, very few exceptions.
Do you buy the protective put in advance?
I do not personally on the blue chips that dividend paying blue chips. I usually don't.
Well, AT&T actually looks like it. The past 3-4, it's gapped down every earnings. That's one that you might want to possibly buy the protective put beforehand. No?
You're basing statistical probability on 3 or 4, which is not statistically significant.
How many data points did you use to go back? I mean,
if I don't have 25.
I know you're saying my in right now is.
If I don't have 25 data points, it's not statistically significant.
Hey, that's interesting. That's kind of my take too. Like I usually look for 25. I don't really consider myself a master of a trade until I've done it 100 times.
Did you take a stat class in college, Noah?
I fell asleep in one.
Oh, they're so bad. I was seriously. It was like, I love statistics. I love research. Oh, stat classes in college are literally just painful.
Oh, I had one at 7:30 in the morning.
Oh, that is
and
torture.
The professor would turn off the lights to run his PowerPoints. And when he flipped the lights back on, 75% of the class was asleep drooling on their textbook. I was one of them.
Yeah.
So you guys check out this chart.
You just gave a stat.
Yeah, there you go. Check out this chart at Home Depot, by the way. I've been watching this one. I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, but I've been watching this one build for a couple weeks here. I'm kind of anticipating a pop on this one. This is a good example of a nice breakout, dividend paying stock. Showing a lot of signs of strength. And again, back it out here to this weekly chart. breaking to all-time highs. And that's a terrifying thought, buying a stock at the all-time high. I'll always tell the story about, you go first. Like if you don't die after buying it at that new all-time high price, I'll go second and buy it.
That's American Express doing it right now.
Right now.
Like you had that pop and then there's this little hesitation.
But if you go back in history and you look at what if you bought all-time highs every time it made an it's a good strategy.
You're scared today, but when you look back on the chart, it was a no-brainer.
Yes. Absolutely.
Listen, I mean, this isn't like a stock. I mean, this is it is a year's worth of price action. So you're about where you are a year ago, took a year off, obviously some fun and games in between, but it's,
well, and I love the pattern on this. It's got a macro cup and handle on the weekly chart. It's got one on the daily chart. You break this down into like your hourly chart, and you've got let me go back into a smaller time frame here. We'll go 20 days, 1 hour, and you got a cup and handle down here too. So you got cup and handle inside a cup and handle inside a cup and handle, and I think I pulled this one up in a few of our meetings over the last week or so. And I just like the setup, like the scenario, just waiting for that confirmation. And I'm kind of watching that 215, not necessarily the 215, but the 213.50 ballpark in this neighborhood here. Fun little setup. I think, let's see, where are we at here, Tom?
I'm like literally looking at that thing, and I don't have my own brokerage pulled up right now, but I'm fighting the urge to pull it up right now and start analyzing trade on that because I like that chart. Targets kind of stand out pretty solidly. Stop resistance. That's a good trade.
Not a bad looking trade at all.
Let's do some rapid fire.
Sounds good, guys. Throw some
fire. I want to see what
stocks you want in the chat, and we will run through and analyze them one at a time. Just kind of give a quick 5 to 30 second. Let's be honest, depending on who's talking, it's going to be closer to 30 second per stock, and we'll get through as many as we can. But we have 10-15 minutes to do it, so let's do this, guys.
All right.
First,
so Adam's first one that came out, and he asked for this one before, is Alcoa AA on a weekly chart. Earnings is coming out here on the 16th. And that weekly time frame, it's a big support zone here.
It's massive.
Doesn't mean it can't break. And that's the one thing I come back to is this one for a boomerang trade. I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bad idea. How bad do you really want to own Alcoa? I think they're very susceptible to tariffs and trade war. Being the largest producer of aluminum here in the States.
No, I have been looking at the early stages of a boomerang trade. Obviously, I want to get by earnings, dive into the earning report, see if there's anything that scares me before doing it. But obviously, a support level of that magnitude is
you gotta like it.
Boomerang traders.
Well, what I like about a trade like that is you have a definitive line in the sand.
A definitive.
And if it breaks, you were wrong.
If it breaks, you know how to be aggressive in your trade management. Roll down in the money calls. Even by protective puts. I mean, you have a clear level of what to do.
That's the kind of trade I like, when you have a clear line in the sand that gives you you can give yourself a directive on or automate the trade on.
That's why I like Wells Fargo too. I have a clear line in the sand.
Absolutely. That's why I like Home Depot, clear line in the sand for the breakout. So nice. Okay, what was next on the list?
Next one is STNE.
Go ahead. Take little momentum.
A nice breakout yesterday. I mean, you had a clear resistance level, broke. Looks like you got some room to run to the upside. Obviously, if you got in it, you're very happy and you're going to let this play out. If you missed it, and I'm not one, I probably err on the side of it's okay to still get in even if you missed the initial launch. But boy, that's a big run. So even for me, that would scare me off a little bit. It's went up so much already. Waiting for a new re-entry signal, a little consolidation for a few days and breakout would be my preferred way to play that from this point. But if you're in, obviously you've got a good trade going on.
Let's look at Square, SQ. Square kind of looks the same way. Yeah, looks like it's got its breakout. It's, again, kind of what Mark just said. You could look at that and say, it still has some room to the upside, but I'm actually starting to see that little tick it had last earnings.
Hey, I want to show you guys something cool. we talked about this stock 2 days ago in the Traders Lounge, and we just out of curiosity, somebody wanted to see a covered call, so we threw one on in the virtual account here. And let's see, where did it go here on my list? There it is. Hey, that covered call we threw on the other day has made $73. You can now officially supersize your value meal when you go through the drive-through the next time. You can afford it because you made $72.
That's
on that
almost 30 McRibs.
That's almost 30. I love that you did the math on that.
30 McRibs that covered call made you in 2 days.
Oh, that's awesome.
Well, and then you could truly say, if you ate 30 McRibs, you could truly say that stock's never going down in my lifetime, because you'd probably die from that process. So there you go. What's next on the list?
Costco. This was actually on the scouting reports last weekend.
And it was actually, I tweeted about Costco. Okay, Trading Justice Twitter. I tweeted about Costco at the market bell this morning. Analyst upgrade. If you are not on Trading Justice Twitter, I tweeted about Wells Fargo today. I tweeted about Goldman Sachs. I tweeted about Delta Airlines earning, Costco at the bell, Bed Bath & Beyond. Join Trading Justice Twitter, especially early in the market day, a lot of stock patterns, some valuable information. I tweeted about Costco this morning, had an analyst upgrade, strong intraday price action to start the day, broke resistance levels. Been a nice breakout. Obviously was on the options report this last weekend on a pretty pattern. Today, well, actually, you got some nice entry days the last couple days, but that analyst upgrade today helped send it through the roof today. So nice little report. Join Trading Justice Twitter, and you'll get more little gems like this.
You know, I actually, while you were giving that little pitch about following Trading Justice, I just went on and I liked that post. So there you go.
Send me a like. You know what your likes do? Go in there today. Seriously, join Trading Justice. There's going to be a lot of information. Matt's been on my butt all year to get going. I've finally got going on that. And you know what your likes on my posts do? They warm my heart and they inspire me to do even more work for you.
Well, when you put out good charts like that, I will like them all day, every day, and twice on Tuesdays. So absolutely.
So hopefully you got into Costco at some point before the run up.
Next on the list,
Pepsi.
High base there. Yeah. Looks like it's poised for a breakout.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's got that stock in a box pattern.
Yep.
that Noah called it. So
the only thing that concerns me about Pepsi is you look at the last two breakouts. Both were successful, but boy, they didn't give you much. So if I played a breakout, I might play like a 1 ATR or 1.5 ATR breakout, because the breakouts have not had much oomph to them. You've had two breakouts in the last little bit, and they went up a little bit. But they didn't go up a whole bunch, did they? So
no, they might be good for something like a diagonal or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, so just be aware of the stock's personality, and the run-ups on the breakouts, they've all been successful, but they've been quick target breakouts.
And that on the weekly chart, it's up above the top of the channel, which can be actually a very bullish sign, but could also be a sign that it's just overextended on that big weekly time frame. So be aware of that. If that support breaks, you don't want to find out how far it can drop, because the next big support zone is back down at 120.
Oh, it's a huge moving average pocket there too.
Next is Visa. B.
This is going to look like AXP. Look at that go. Go, Visa, go.
Oh, Visa, go.
Visa is literally one of the best fundamental companies there is out there, period. Next time the market has a huge multi-week pullback, go buy some Visa, because it's just a rock star.
Look at all of those cards. I mean, look at them. AXP, Visa, MasterCard, across the board. MA, not MAS, MA. There you got, just similar pattern, breakouts across the board. You can even look at what's DIS, what's Discovery again?
Man, we have had Visa or American Express or MasterCard on our reports this year at least a dozen times. I mean, these are trends we identified early. We've liked these patterns early. They keep coming up. These things have been rock stars. Don't try to guess when they're going to stop.
All right, next on the list,
Lulu.
I like that touch on the moving averages there. That little doji and the upward kind of ascending. This to me looks like a forming cup and handle where it's down a little bit. And if it can push out, you might want to wait for it to clear resistance, but not a bad look.
So the optimist in there, like you said, an optimist sees a cup and handle, a pessimist sees a double.
Absolutely. You got to confirm your bias, and usually your bias should be with the trend. The trend. That's where your bias should be. I always catch new traders trading contrarian because they got a red candle signal and they're trading against a trend that's been going on for a year. It sometimes those will pay out, but not often.
Lulu has been strong all year round. It's been putting out consistently good earnings reports. It's fundamentally a good company, and the trend shows it, and it keeps just bouncing off that 50. Every time it seems to touch the 50, it moves up, and it just did it. So 50 moving average caught up. I think it is poised for a break to the upside. Next is TTD.
All right, this is you, Mark.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing that I can't get terribly excited about. I don't have the cleanness. Go to a weekly chart. I mean, if I don't have a clean chart,
thing's very sporadic. Got a lot of.
It's a good trend, but it's an erratic personality.
Listen, if I was on a date with the trade desk, at the end of the date, I'd say, listen, you got a lot going for you. It's not you, it's me. I just not feeling the chemistry.
I invented it's not you, it's me.
So listen, nothing wrong with you, trade desk. I can see some potential there. I could see why someone would like you and you'll find a great partner in life, but just not feeling it.
I'm with you on that one. There are cleaner charts out there. Next is Home Depot, Costco. We've gone through both of those. eBay. Let's see. I'll take eBay. eBay looks like some of the other ones. It looks like it's got a nice high base type formation. If we can get a break of that 40.55,
I think we might have some historical resistance to the left not shown. If I remember eBay price action early last year.
Yeah, there's quite a bit overhead.
Let's see. Where's that?
Yeah, I remember eBay trading a little higher earlier last year. It's still got some room to run.
Yeah, it's got some room to move between where it's at right now up to 42.50.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you look at it on the weekly, and that breakout level looks prettier on the weekly. Like, go back out to the weekly there. I mean, that breakout level looks a lot cleaner.
Yeah. The only thing I'd say, watch out, earnings is on the 17th, and that's coming up soon.
Yeah, but if you clear earnings, earnings.
Bye.
Next is Gilead.
GILD. Man, that just makes me want to write covered calls.
It's just trading in the middle of a real long channel.
And it pays a dividend. This is like own it, pays a dividend. It's going to have good premiums.
I'm going to do some research because I see what you're seeing. No, I mean, you're right there in the middle of the range. But let's say we come back down to that support level. I mean, that's a long channel going on here.
Yeah. Well, and it's a pretty solid low at 60. It seems to be a big fat number for it, backing it out to the longer term time.
I like big companies that have been beat up, and this has shown some stability. Got a pretty clear line in the sand at 60.
Yeah. I also like this because you could buy it, anywhere at the current price when you get a good signal. You can sell out of money calls for cash flow, but if it starts coming down to the bottom of the channel, you can sell the in the money covered calls and still cash flow and protect the asset. So
I like everything you just said there. When's earnings coming up on Gilead?
It is on the 30th.
Two stocks you can be guaranteed I tweet about in the next day or two are eBay and Gilead. There's both potentials for different strategies.
Can you boomerang Gil? Yes. If you can write a covered call, you can boomerang.
I got to do a little research, make sure I love it. But yeah, I mean, it has boomerang potential right now going on Gilead for sure.
Yeah. I like the price of the stock. The 1% dividend, not bad.
Be aware of earnings.
Check out just GIL. It looks like that was, we just did this analysis on Gilead, but I think they were asking for GIL.
Well, no, I'm going back to GILD. So, hey, I'm just kidding. Jill,
hey, we might have been asking for GIL, but we stumbled up on them. Maybe a nice cash flow stock.
We did find.
Hey, serendipity is not a bad reason to trade. Look at that. Gil's got a nice.
I lose money, Cody. It's your fault for putting in the wrong ticker symbol. So.
Oh, you know what? You're going to make money and you're going to love it. Just like you're going to make money on the Cron put that you sold.
Have you actually bought the wrong ticker symbol in the past? Like made the mistake. I've done it.
I don't know if I have because
I didn't do like I didn't do a Zoom type of mistake on an IPO, but I
have done the wrong direction before.
I've done that too.
I've done that. I've done
that before, where I meant to go short or meant to go long and did the opposite.
Yep,
I have done that. So
I've done ones where I will set a trade on, and then immediately as I'm like setting up my exit trade, set up completely wrong trade. It'll just exit me at like my max loss that day. Just like, and I'm like, really? Seriously? But this to me looks just like a lot of the other ones we've seen, that high base type pattern, look for the break to the upside. So many of these companies look the exact same. They all were hanging out waiting for some kind of news movement out of trade and the Fed and all the other crap that we're waiting on. And now that we have it, the market's still just waiting. These are all poised for breakout.
The problem I have with this setup is the same problem I had with Pepsi. Breakouts that have occurred this year, they've been successful for the most part. I can see one false breakout in there, but you got a very small run up. So once again, if you play a breakout, I mean, look what has the stock done in previous breakouts. If they've been more meandering trend type breakups, that's fine. Just quick profits on the breakout.
All right. Next is Cyber. CYBR. No, what are your thoughts on this one?
It's kind of a slowing top, and it's lost a lot of momentum. So let me back it out to a weekly and gain some perspective on it. It's got the look of a kind of a high base consolidation here, pullback. It's okay. I worry about the energy on this one on a breakout. Same as Mark was saying on the other.
What we got a double this year almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say it went from $60 stock to $130. Yeah, it did double.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes stocks. I mean, it might have great fundamental, might have a great situation. It might just be taking a break right now.
There you go.
I don't know enough about the company to say anything more than that.
Next is GPN. I will take this one. GPN would have been a fantastic buy. This thing looks very similar to Visa or some of the other card companies, global payments. It makes sense that they're payment processing companies. Yeah, we get a good dip, like Mark said, on a weekly, then look to pick some of the shares up. If you just want to buy this and let the trend keep running, you can do that too. Play momentum.
Yep, not too shabby.
GPN and PayX have been two of the easier, low volatility, just boring. I mean, all these stocks, they've just been like watching grass grow at just enough of a pace to really enjoy the process.
Makes you smile. We've already looked at Square. Let's look at ABMD.
And that's the last one, right? Bam.
ABMD. Unless there's a stock that says LOL.
Yeah, LOL. Oh, we could look at the LOL stock, but that's a descending triangle, but that's really pinched down. That's a big stock. Let me back it out to a weekly chart. It's got some support at 250, but if that breaks, there's room to drop to 200. So decent bear setup. It doesn't have a very clean entry is my read on that. That would probably be the only real drawback I see there is which support zone do you trigger under. And it's showing a little bit of support here. And if it starts to take out the highs, you might have a bottom coming in.
One last stock I want to brought up that I talked about on Trading Justice Twitter today is Delta Airlines, DAL. Had earnings, was a really, really decent earnings report. I would love to see some multi-day consolidation break out of that 61 level. It was a really, really solid earnings report. So get a little market momentum, get a little nice trading signal.
And it's all-time highs.
So you could have a nice breakout scenario coming on Delta. It was really solid earnings report.
Not too shabby, Abby.
So of course now I want the stock to tank so I can buy some, but it's probably more likely to break out at this point.
Is there a ticker for LOL? I gotta know now.
No.
Oh, dang it.
Lollipop Corp.
There you go.
Lollipop.
Well, speaking of Delta, there you go. That's been
a neutral wedge pattern right there.
There you go.
All right, guys.
Fantastic.
I believe I'm supposed to tell you guys to get over to the Instagram and check out our stock of the week over there. I think it was who won the stock of the week? You guys know?
Dell.
Was it Dell?
Yeah. I'm not going to pull it up because you guys got to go look at it over on the Instagram. It's a
I
good
like
looking
it.
chart.
Get over there,
It's a good looking
check
chart.
that out. Tonight is the Cash Flow Club. What is the topic tonight? Mark,
Oh, I should know this. This is my job to know these things, and I am going to punt to. It is a fascinating topic that will scintillate the senses, that will bewilder the mind, as Coach Gino Poor advances into a complicated, advanced, and yet he'll make it easy to understand options topic tonight on the cash flow.
You could have just said,
nice.
I don't know, but Gino's teaching it, and that would have covered it because everybody would have showed up anyway because it's Gino, right?
I emphasize Gino Poor.
Yep, Gino sounds like a good time.
As a student coming in to help us out here, Gino with calendar spreads tonight.
See, that's why we're a community.
A horizontal calendar spread tonight taught by Gino Poor in the Cash Flow Club. Get over there, check it out. Everyone loves when Gino's talking. It is some fascinating advice that he's always giving. Great ways that he shows you how to set these trades up. Other than that, guys, we will see you tomorrow.